Hey guys, Mike here, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for hitting that subscribe button below. We just hit 1,100 subscribers, which is awesome. Thank you so much to everyone who has gotten on board, checked out some of my content. I am Australia's most lovable nerd, doing content on movies, music, games, TV shows, and etc. Plus a bunch of podcasts that go up on this channel. Check out some of my other videos, all of which are on the screen now, and also consider donating to my Patreon account, where as little as $1 a month can go a long way to helping me continue to make this content. Today is a video I've been wanting to make for a very long time, and it is something that I am very passionate about. Today I'm talking about what I consider to be probably the most underrated Disney film of all time. A film that is often forgotten, sometimes even criticized by lots of people, but has always, to me, been one of the greatest stories that Disney ever told. And the name of the movie is Brother Bear. So for context, let's rewind a little bit to where Brother Bear kind of emerged from in Disney. Obviously, The Lion King in 1994 was one of the most successful animated films of all time, and is certainly one of Disney's most well-known properties.
Wow! If you're hungry for a hunk of fat and juicy meat, eat my buddy Pumper here because he has a treat.
The Lion King is a critically acclaimed film. It even got a live-action remake a few years ago. The songs are still as relevant today as they were in 1994. There is a stage musical. The Lion King was just a money-making machine for Disney and is one of the greatest stories ever told, except for the fact that it is essentially just Shakespeare's Hamlet, which is totally cool, but I feel like we should acknowledge that it isn't exactly an original story. Most Disney films aren't. And the era that The Lion King is from is known as the Renaissance period of Disney's history. Movies like Beauty and the Beast, Tarzan, The Little Mermaid, The Lion King were all these fantastic and acclaimed Disney films that came out around this time frame. And moving into the turn of the century in the year 2000, things kind of started to go a little bit weird for Disney animation. The year 2000 saw two Disney films release. Dinosaur, an absolutely forgotten film that is almost never talked about today, and The Emperor's New Groove, which is personally one of my favourite films of all time, but that's for another video.
Oh, right.
The Emperor's New Groove was followed by Atlantis, The Lost Empire, which was then followed by Lilo and Stitch, another classic Disney film. Lilo and Stitch was followed by Treasure Planet in the same year, and none of these films were particularly as successful as any of the Disney Renaissance films, and this is often known as the post-Renaissance period of Disney, or even sometimes the Dark Age of Disney animation, which is so untrue because those movies that I've just listed, Emperor's New Groove, Lilo and Stitch, Atlantis, Treasure Planet, I consider them all absolute classics of my childhood and amazing films. And I'm disappointed that they're considered part of the Dark Age of Disney films. Like, I really don't think that suits them at all. Post-Renaissance, sure, I can get behind, but Dark Age, no. The CEO of Disney Animation at that time, Michael Eisner, started doing some thinking about what movie could be made to try and get back to that Renaissance period of success, and he noted the success of Lion King and wanted more movies to be based around animals. He noted that The Lion King was based on the African Sahara and suggested that the landscapes of North America, particularly Alaska, are showed off in a new animal-centric film, which got them started on this idea of a bear-related movie. Fast forward a little bit in development and Brother Bear comes to life. The movie is released to really mixed to negative reviews. And I will grant it the fact that it is definitely not on the same level as The Lion King, but it definitely is not a bad movie in any sense. If you're unfamiliar with the story of Brother Bear, it revolves around an Inuit in a post-Ice Age Alaska called Kenai. Kenai is part of a tribe or a society that believes that great spirits in the sky are watching over them all the time, and they are bestowed with totems representative of animals that reflect their inner strengths. Kenai has two older brothers, the eldest and most mature, Sitka, whose totem is the Eagle of Guidance, and the middle brother, Denahi, who has the totem of Wisdom. At Kenai's coming-of-age ceremony, he is given the totem of love in the form of a bear, the Bear of Love, which he is really objected to.
Kenai, love is the most precious of totems. It reveals itself in unexpected ways.
And immediately as this film starts, you really get an idea of who these brothers are. The characterization of these three characters is absolutely incredible. And when a bear steals the winter supply of salmon for the entire tribe to eat over the winter, Kenai rushes to go out to capture and kill said bear, much to the dismay of older and more mature brother Sitka, as well as Denahi. In hunting the bear, Kenai and Denahi get into some trouble, and Sitka sacrifices himself to kill the bear and keep his brothers out of danger. And that's all within the first 20 minutes of the film. This incredible story is told between these three brothers, one of whom dies, and this pain and anguish of the other two brothers who are realizing their mistake to go out and chase this bear. And immediately they both become incredibly vengeful, and they make it their mission to kill the bear. After this, Kenai is absorbed by the spirits, which is heavily implied to be the workings of his now dead brother, Sitka, who is still watching over them from above. He is then transformed into a bear. Interestingly, on that note, Brother Bear is one of the only animated films to change aspect ratios in the middle of the film. This is not incredibly commonly used in mainstream films, but it's to represent the transition between human and bear. Once Kenai becomes a bear, the movie swaps to a square aspect ratio into a letterboxed aspect ratio, which is a really interesting touch. Notably, when that transformation between human and bear happens, the first 20 minutes of the film are really realistic in their colours. They're very raw, gritty colours, whereas when Kenai is transformed into the bear for the first time, suddenly we've got these really vibrant, bright, animated colours. These more traditional Disney, lovely, colourful scenes that weren't previously there in the first 20 minutes of the film. Kenai eventually comes across a cub bear, Coda, a young boy who has been separated from his mother.
My name's Coda. Say it with me. Coda.
And decides to go along with Coda to take him to the mountain where he can transform back into a man. Now, the twist is that throughout the film, we realize that the bear that Kenai and his brothers killed was actually Coda's mother. And in realizing this, Kenai realizes that he must confess this to Coda, and that's quite a dramatic moment of the film. For the whole rest of the film, Denahi, the surviving brother, starts to chase Kenai, believing that Kenai is the original bear that killed Sitka.
Denahi, you found me! You wouldn't believe what a nightmare this has been! Denahi? It's me, Kenai!
And Denahi turns essentially into this enraged human who is trying to kill Kenai, which is really, really crazy. At the end of the film, Kenai makes it back to the top of the mountain, Denahi corners him there, and the two begin to fight. But the spirit of both Sitka and the past mother of Coda come together to join those two and to allow Denahi to see that Kenai is Kenai. He turns him back into a human, but Kenai decides to stay as a bear to watch and look after Coda, his brother bear. And I guess in that sense, recognizing his totem of the bear of love. Sitka and the mother bear rush back up into the spirit world together, signifying this unifying vision of those two families. On the comic relief angle of this film, we are also introduced to two moose who I guess are this film's attempt at being the Timon and Pumbaa. And Timon and Pumbaa are such critically acclaimed characters. I love them. They are my favourite part about The Lion King. Their comedy is amazing. These two characters, they are pretty funny, and there are a few moments that I really enjoy, and they are these Canadian moose that just have some great one-liners and really break up the more serious tone of the film. It is great to have a bit of comic relief in a film that is pretty serious thematically.
I spy something green.
Tree?
Ah, my turn? Yeah.
Okay, I spy something tall.
Tree.
Okay.
I spy something with bark.
Tree?
Ah.
Brother Bear is an amazingly animated film that is so underrated in the Disney catalogue. It is a film about taking responsibility for your actions, growing up, becoming a man by choosing to love and be responsible for other people who are more vulnerable than you. And that is some of the true genius of Brother Bear. Throughout the film, we often see glimpses of an eagle watching over Kenai and Coda as they go about their journey, which is obviously that spirit of Sitka watching over them all. And these are never really pointed to the viewer. They're just kind of there. If you see it and you understand it. If you don't, you miss it. It's never explicitly shown to you. It's just kind of there for you. The soundtrack is by Phil Collins, who also did the Tarzan soundtrack. It's pretty interesting, definitely not the heights of something like The Lion King or Tarzan or any of the other Disney musicals, and this one isn't in true sense a musical. There is a soundtrack by Phil Collins, but the characters rarely actually sing, but the song's On My Way, which is the big adventure song, is such an absolutely great song that really captures the spirit of this film, as well as the song No Way Out, which happens at quite a pinnacle moment of the film that is also sort of controversial in the reviews. When Kenai has to tell Coda that he is responsible for his mother's death, the filmmakers decided not to actually show this conversation, but to have a song play over it, which kind of, in some ways, does spoil that important moment. I did, however, find that there is a deleted scene which actually shows that conversation without the song behind it, and I think this would have worked better, but it is absolutely very dark for a children's film, and I kind of understand the decision they made not to include it.
I killed a bear.
I don't like this story.
Coda, your mother's not coming.
No.
I didn't know, Coda.
No.
I swear I didn't know.
There's quite a jarring theme in this film about man versus bear, or man versus monster. However, in this very touching scene in which both Coda and Kenai come across a cave painting of a man with a spear trying to kill a bear, Coda says, "The monsters are very scary with their big sticks." Suddenly, Kenai has this really crazy realization that to the bears, the humans are the monsters, whereas to the humans, the bears are the monsters.
Those monsters are really scary. Especially with those sticks.
As well as this reference where Kenai explains to Coda that his brother was killed by a monster, kind of leaving it up in the air as to whether he's referring to the bear or to himself and his own flippancy.
You know that story you told me last night?
Yeah.
Well, I have a story to tell you.
Really? What's it about?
Well, it's kind of about a man, and kind of about a bear. But mostly it's about a monster.
In these moments, and looking into another theme of this film, which is what it means to be a man, Kenai must realize that to grow up and to become an adult, he must accept responsibility for his past mistakes. And it's this accepting of responsibility and coming to terms with the bad things you've done in your past that allows him to move on, to love Coda as a brother, and to truly become a man. As the audience, we are made to feel like this is Sitka still guiding his brothers from beyond the grave, from the world of the spirits, and he is making a lot of these decisions. In fact, it's almost implied that Sitka knew that Denahi would become so enraged, so that Kenai could see what his brother looked like, and what, in turn, he looked like hunting the bears. An angry and scary monster. The recurring theme of monster, man, and bear is just one of the most magical parts of this film that really rings true. It's this amazing film that showcases like the beautiful landscapes of North America and Alaska, as well as trying to help people to understand that I guess we are one with nature. And narratively, we see this internal struggle of Kenai, who is trying to accept responsibility for his actions, which led to the death of his brother. Learning to be his own big brother to Coda, the younger bear who is coming to terms with the fact that his new best friend or big brother murdered his mum. And that is the biggest conflict of this film that is really fascinating to see play out on screen. Brother Bear isn't the best Disney film ever made, I agree with that, but It is very good. It is an amazing film for adults and children alike, and while it draws on the success of a movie that came out nearly 10 years before it, The Lion King, it really does go its own way. It explores a new culture, a new landscape, new themes, and some really philosophical ideas and concepts that come through during it. I really recommend Brother Bear. If you haven't watched it recently, give it another shot. It really holds up today, and it really touched me.
The story of a boy who became a man by becoming a bear.
If you like this video and want to see more, comment below on any movie you would like me to give this kind of treatment to. Subscribe to my channel to convince me to keep making content. Check out some of my other videos which are on screen now. The Patreon is there if you want to donate as little as $1 a month. And leave a comment, thumbs up, and everything in between. Thank you so much for watching. My name's been Radio Mike, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks.
But I went to run my hand through your hair and I noticed you were attached to string. You were a puppet this whole time, you were attached to string.